It had been almost a year since the scandal that permanently turned Meghan Markle from a controversial, self-exiled royal figure into an undeniable full-blown pariah of international celebrity notoriety. The explosive leaked video depicting her appearing to violently slap a young Princess Charlotte at Queen Elizabeth's funeral had detonated her reputation to a point of no return. In the aftermath, the disgraced Duchess had been utterly cancelled by polite society on both sides of the Atlantic. No more fawning profiles in glossy magazines or invitations to preside over lofty celebrations of wokeness. Even her most stubbornly defensive Sussex squad fans had abandoned her in the aftermath, their allegiance severed over the inexcusable caught-on-tape aggression toward an innocent child. With the royal family having legally barred her from profiting off any Sussex titles, Meghan's dreams of building a lucrative power brand around her self-styled Duchess-defiant persona swiftly disintegrated as soured public opinion made her box office poison with the general public. Her career aspirations of leveraging minor cable TV roles into princess-adjacent multimedia dominance collapsed like ailprov smoke before even fully taking off. Increasingly isolated and expendable even to her dwindling sycophant handlers, the ostracized Meghan and her marginalizing husband Harry had receded into semi-welcomed exile at their Southern California Montecito compound. The last 2 years had reduced their once wildly hyped, ratings-grabbing gravitas from superhero royals to little more than punchlines of scorn and pathetic irrelevance. So when the email contact came through from one Meghan Markle's abandoned email accounts, Simon Cowell's curt team of showbiz advisors assumed it to be just another random communiqué from someone seeking their morsel of the increasingly marginalized former princess's fading attention. What negative value could she possibly bring to their thriving entertainment enterprises? According to the missive, the Duchess of Sussex was reaching out directly to pitch herself as a potential new judge on the 2025 season of NBC's juggernaut, America's Got Talent. She believed her global inspirational profile as both an actress, content producer, and proponent of progressive inclusion could provide a valuable perspective in spotlighting the diverse array of undiscovered talent the show prided itself on elevating. The vain inquiry was met with barely a raise of Cowell's trademark sardonic eyebrow. To the supremely self-assured British impresario, hustling Meghan's was already an unequivocal defunction brand at the height of her bogus fame several scandals ago. Now this desperate last gasp at injecting herself into a long-thriving TV cash cow for fading relevancy reeked of such profound delusion and entitlement that her proposal didn't even warrant time wasting with a boilerplate rejection. Let the glory seekers think she was being seriously considered for a few weeks if it massaged her ego. So Cowell's team did what they do best with any impertinent pests who delude themselves into buzzing around AGT's holy throne. They administered a ruthless full discard, ghosting her without so much as a cursory written response. A virtual cold shouldering that amounted to the ultimate Hollywood brush-off. The only exchange between Cowell and his production partners over Meghan's delusional solicitation was a brief flurry of mordant text messages acknowledging and utterly dismissing the Duchess out of hand. Someone named Meghan Markle emailed interns about joining the AGT judging panel LOL. Wait, the Meghan LOL? Permanently unbookable. Tell her to get in line with all the other cancelled woke Z-listers desperate for a piece of this show's equity LMAO. And with that the former royal maverick's outlandish television limelight grab was quashed with not so much as a momentary flicker of consideration. Her status having transcended from buzzed-about celebrity persona non grata to deluded pathetic has been, unable to even score a polite rejection from the shows she once would have imagined being fought over for. Yeah, no thanks. That's going to be a pass from me. Hard pass, one of Cowell's partners summarized to his team, practically able to feel the waves of entitlement emanating in the ether from Montecito every time Meghan's name receded. She really is about as toxic and outdated as an old carton of Cocoa Pops these days. Just sweep this desperate shite into the rubbish bin where it belongs, boys. And so with that sort of autocratic pronouncement reflective of Cowell's domineering televised persona, the discarding was utterly complete. The next stages of AGT's exhaustive talent search and vetting for fresh new judging perspectives would proceed without so much as another random re-erudite emerging from the howling vortex of societal derision that had swallowed up Harry and Meghan's previous delusions of matching. Markle's deluded freelance temerity had met its comeuppance. A fate she would likely remain naively unaware of for months to come as her team of underlings and royal kitchen staff continued collecting cumulative rejections rather than bother the Duchess with news of her ever-increasing irrelevancy. Such was the amplified levels of protection now required for someone not just rich and famous in modern celebrity culture, but in a diluted class of infamy unto her very own. Despite Meghan Markle's diminished standing, Simon Cowell's outright snub and disrespectful dismissal of her email request to be a judge on America's Got Talent in 2025 likely still carried some reputational risk for the acerbic reality TV mogul. Here's how the fallout could have played out. While the initial private texts mocking and rejecting Meghan's judging overture were kept confined to Cowell's inner circle, word inevitably leaked to the media about how the former royal had reached out to AGT through official channels only to have her earnest inquiry completely ignored without even a courtesy response. For Cowell's critics who had long accused him of being an insensitive bully who delighted in publicly dressing down vulnerable talent show contestants, the anecdote played perfectly into their narrative about his ego-driven arrogance and lack of basic decency. Why did he feel so threatened by Meghan that he wouldn't extend her the simple professional courtesy of a polite rejection? Simon Cowell has built an entire career by curating his persona as the heartless, mean-spirited bon vivant of reality TV, seethed Liam Bracken, a prominent entertainment journalist. But there's a line between championship-level cantankerousness and just being an utterly irredeemable jackass, which is what he's being here toward Meghan. On social media, the #boycott AGT movement accused Cowell of perpetuating misogynoir by disrespecting Meghan because she was a biracial woman of color. High-profile black voices like actress Issa Rae piled on, alleging that only someone deeply uncomfortable with powerful women would treat someone like Meghan so shabbily and unprofessionally. Even mainstream media pundits who had been fully aboard the wave of backlash toward Meghan over the Princess Charlotte slapping incident questioned whether Cowell had gone too far in his peremptory dismissal of the Duchess. Look, I'm not going to sit here and defend Meghan Markle after the couple of years she's had digging her own grave of irrelevance and alienating her few remaining supporters with one tone-deaf scandal after another, CNN's Brian Stelter commented on his show. But I do think there's an argument to be made that Simon Cowell allowed his personal disdain for her to cloud his professionalism here. Is it really that hard to fire off a few sentences of polite rejection rather than rudely ghost her entirely? As the negative feedback loop continued amplifying, Cowell found himself needing to directly address the brewing controversy in interviews promoting the new season of AGT. However, he seemed unrepentant and stood firmly by his ungracious treatment of Meghan's query. Listen, I'm the first to admit my reputation as a brutal truth-teller who doesn't pull any punches or suffer fools gladly, Cowell told one reporter. And in my opinion, the complete delusion and entitlement of Meghan still thinking she had any right to utter the words, America's Got Talent and judge, in the same sentence most definitely fell into the fool category. A hard truth perhaps, but someone needed to woman up and dash her fantasies with the same ice bucket of reality the rest of the world has. He went on to dismiss allegations of racism and misogyny as complete rubbish, propagated by Meghan's dwindling cult of sycophants. Skin color had zero factor in my decision to give her desperate audacity the utter rejection it deserved. I am in fact trying to do Meghan a backhanded favor here, by giving her not even an ounce of misleading encouragement to keep tilting at delusional celebrity windmills. She should be thanking me for the tough love. The blunt Cowell doubled down, characterizing Meghan's brazen email solicitation as putting me in an impossible economically suicidal position by potentially infecting AGT with extortionary legal jeopardy if we so much as entertained her consulate presence for a momentary lapse. Some reputations become so irreversibly toxified through their own reprehensible controversies that employing them is simply an untenable risk that no sane executive would fathom, he declared. It's nothing personal against Meghan per se at all. Just the cold hard truth that she's drummed herself out of being a working talent through her own disastrous behavior and judgment until further notice. As debates raged about whether Cowell's unapologetically harsh dismissal constituted bullying or simply pragmatic candor, the iconic reality TV personality could at least take solace that the controversy proved one thing: he still